The court proceeding had started with Jack being the first person being questioned. Elliot's lawyer, Christian, had a nasty smile on his face. Christian stood up and asked, "I want to know why you went into the lab with Officer Sylvia. After all, you were not a police officer." Jack responded, "I am a guest professor at Rosewood City University. I have known Officer Bennett for a long time. Elliot is a student in the physics department. Officer Bennett wanted to consult me about some lab-related questions, such as the registration book that was mentioned earlier. I know about labs." The lawyer nodded and said, "Professor Kipling, do you fancy Officer Bennett?" That question made some people in the trial room start to whisper to each other. In the back, Jeremy clenched his fist. Jack was stunned, hearing that question being asked under the witness of so many people. His cheeks turned red. The prosecutor stood up and said, "This has nothing to do with the case. This is about Professor Kipling's private life." "I think it's related to the case." Lawyer Core smiled and said, "If Professor Kipling's into Officer Bennett, he would do whatever she said, so his testimony can be unreliable. Your Honor, I hope you can ask Professor Kipling to answer the question." The judge furrowed his brow slightly, but still he nodded and said to Jack, "Please answer the question honestly." Sylvia knitted her brows. Being stared at by all the people on the scene, Jack's breath turned shallower and shallower. After about 10 seconds of silence, he answered the question with a low voice. "I am fond of her." His cheeks blushed scarlet. After saying that, he quickly dropped his head. Sylvia blushed as well. She knew that Jack liked her since long ago. However, she did feel shy to hear him admit that in front of so many people. She felt a little embarrassed under the situation, not to mention Jack himself. Lawyer Core smiled. "Did you see Elliot close the door by himself?" "No," Jack said. Lawyer Core said to the judge, "Officer Bennett nor Professor Kipling saw my client close the door, meaning that what Professor Kipling said was only a guess. He is not reliable as a witness. After all, he was a victim too. Professor Kipling and Officer Bennett might think of Elliot as a murderer who killed Peter because they believe he guided them into the lab and caused them to suffer the fire. As for the registration book, it proves that Peter was alive when Elliot entered the lab, but it doesn't prove that he murdered Peter. It could be someone else who entered the lab after my client. I saw Elliot give a perky smile. I am a police officer. I would never lie," Sylvia said angrily. Jack thought for a moment, then said with a deep voice, "I admit that I like Officer Bennett. However, I've been devoted to my science career since I graduated from school. I have taken part in countless science projects. I have also attended international academic activities. I can tell the difference between personal feelings and professional things. That is the basic quality that a scientist should have. Rosewood City University was founded 20 years ago. Their fire protection has always been great. No serious fire like this one I witnessed had ever happened at that university before. I don't think any accident like that could ever happen in the university unless it was caused by someone on purpose. Mr. Core, if you think what I said isn't right, I suggest you consult other physics professors about it. I believe they will all agree with me." The prosecutor quickly handed up some material. "I have consulted some physics professors about it. They analyzed the case, and this was the result. They all agreed with Professor Kipling, and these are the contributions that Professor Kipling has made to science during the past decade. Lawyer Core, what you said just now was disrespectful to a scientist who has been bringing honor to his country." The look on Lawyer Core's face turned slightly sour. At last, the prosecutor stated the process of the crime in detail and proposed a heavy punishment for the defendant. "Elliot was attracted to Peter. He was gay and nothing is wrong with that. However, he killed Peter because of his extreme obsession with him. He has some psychological problems. When the police found evidence against him, he stayed calm made a plan, and attempted to murder Officer Bennett and Professor Kipling, meaning that he is a cold-blooded murderer. If we set someone like that free today, the people around him might be facing danger. At last, the court found Elliot guilty and sentenced him to life in prison and deprivation of political rights for life. As the case was over, Sylvia excitedly stood up. She prepared to give Jack a great compliment. However, before that, she suddenly felt a warm stream gush out of the lower part of her body. She froze. Jack turned to look at her. He was expecting her to compliment him again. However, she was only sitting there quietly. He was slightly disappointed. "Sylvia, what did you think of my performance?" he indirectly asked her. "Great, you did a very good job." When he was giving the last part of his speech, Sylvia found him super handsome, like how she felt back in Paris when he outshone the scientists from the other countries. She wanted very much to give him a huge hug, but at that moment, she wanted to cry but failed to shed any tears. His bloody watch was right. Her period was not supposed to start that day, but it started ahead of schedule. Was her body having problems? Just that? Jack was very disappointed. No extra compliments? At that time, Carlo walked over, hugged him tightly, and patted him hard on the back, saying, "Professor Kipling, thank you. You are amazing. You are marvelous. I seriously admire you." Jack could hardly breathe. He was so disappointed and so sad. If only Sylvia hugged him like that. When Carlo let go of him, he gave him a glance with dislike. Carlo laughed. "Professor Kipling, I know that I'm not Sylvia. You don't need to make it so obvious." Jack ignored him but turned to Sylvia and said, "I'll like it if you can hug me that way." Sylvia stayed silent. Carlo winked at her and then signaled for her to hug Jack. Sylvia almost burst into tears. At that very moment, Jeremy walked over and said, "Professor Kill, thank you very much. If it wasn't for you, Sylvia wouldn't be able to solve the case so soon." "You don't need to thank me. My relationship with Sylvia is special." He refused to show any sign of weakness in front of Jeremy. After saying that, he felt slightly embarrassed. If Sylvia asked him about his relationship with her, he would tell her that he was her cleaning guy. Jeremy raised his brows and said, "I know. You said it during the trial. I'm not surprised, though. It's normal for a pretty girl like Sylvia to have suitors. I've been fond of her, too. Sadly, I was too stupid to not cherish her back then. Now I've realized how important she is to me. I will not give up." Jack was stunned. Was Jeremy challenging him? He wasn't prepared for that at all. "I won't give up either," he hurriedly said. "I know how to cherish someone. I won't make your mistake." The two men looked each other in the eyes. Sylvia buried her forehead in her palms. Was it time for a war to start? She was on her period, so all she wanted to do at that moment was to storm into the bathroom. "Sylvia, let's go. It's getting late." Jeremy turned his eyes to Sylvia, who had been sitting on the chair the whole time. You go first. I still have something to do." Sylvia hurriedly packed her stuff on the table, then quickly pulled on Jack's hand and ran out of the trial room. Looking at their backs, Jeremy's face instantly turned blue. Carlo sighed, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "Jeremy, let bygones be bygones. Put it down. You're a great man and you have a bright future. Don't let yourself sink for just one relationship." Jeremy gave a bitter smile and responded, "Before, my relationship wasn't my priority. However, when I lost her, I realized how important she was to me. I was not thoughtful enough. I was never nice to her. Now I just want another chance. Seeing her with another guy doesn't feel good. If I failed, I guess it's because we weren't meant to be together." I'm glad you're thinking that way." Out of the trial room, the surprised Jack let himself be dragged forward by Sylvia. He looked at her hand that was holding his. He felt like he was in a dream. Sylvia held his hand in front of her ex-boyfriend. She chose him over her ex-boyfriend, didn't she? Did he win? Had he defeated his rival in love just like that? He smiled all the way, gazing at the back of Sylvia's head. When Sylvia stopped running, he sensed an unpleasant odor. He raised his head and found himself standing in front of the toilet. "Give me a pad!" Sylvia reached out a hand toward him eagerly. "Are you on your period?" Jack blinked. "Shut up!" Sylvia's cheeks were red. "So you held my hand because you want pads?" Jack felt as if someone had poured a bucket of ice water onto his head. He was so frustrated. "You didn't hold my hand because you chose me." Sylvia clenched her teeth and said, "Is now the time to talk about that? Give me the pads." "Oh." Jack clumsily took out a bag of pads from his pocket, put it in her hand, and said, "How do you know that I have pads?" "You went out earlier. I knew what you were doing." Sylvia picked up the pads and went into the ladies' room. Jack stood by the door for a few minutes. He was disappointed, but also satisfied. Sylvia used the pads that he bought. It was so nice. Her pants weren't stained, were they? Jack was worried. He hurriedly took off his coat. In the bathroom, Sylvia checked her pants. Thankfully, she had dealt with it in time and her pants weren't stained yet. Soon, she came out of the bathroom and found Jack wearing only a shirt. His coat was on his arm. Looking at him, she felt so confused. Earlier, she said his invention wasn't good, but unexpectedly, it was amazing. That watch could be so helpful for girls and also for her nephew. "The air conditioner isn't on. Why did you take off your coat?" "Be careful, you might catch a cold," Sylvia said, reminding him. Jack shyly glanced at her crotch area. "What?" Seeing the look in his eyes, Sylvia blushed. "I worried that your pants might be stained. I took off my coat so you can wrap it around your waist to cover your stain," Jack said. "My pants are fine." Sylvia felt touched. "Fortunately, you got me some pads. I'm sorry for complaining about your invention." "It's okay, as long as I'm sure my invention is working well." Jack smiled shyly. "You are amazing," Sylvia sighed. "I have something even better. Would you like to try?" Jack said, smiling. Sylvia thought his words sounded a bit weird. Oh no, this could lead to some misunderstandings. She couldn't help but glance at his lower body. Jack dropped his head to follow Sylvia's eyes, then said to her, "I said I have something even better. Why are you looking at my feet?" Sylvia cleared her throat, realizing she might have misunderstood him. "That watch of yours is great. Can you give it to my nephew?" Sylvia, being thick-skinned, looked at him and blinked her watery eyes. It was the first time she made such a tempting face in front of him. Jack stopped breathing. He almost said yes. The mere thought of Sylvia attending the party with Jeremy made Jack shake his head quickly. "No way," he said. Sylvia pulled a long face. She didn't expect him to say no to the charming and adorable side of her. "Then how about you give it to me?" "No." Jack turned around and gave her an annoyed look. "Not unless I can give it to your nephew myself." He's even learned to threaten me. I'm impressed, Sylvia thought. "Are you going to turn me down?" "I'm not turning you down." Jack bit his lip and said, "I'll give it to your nephew if I can attend the party myself." "You are threatening me," Sylvia said through clenched teeth. "It's not like I have to go to the party," Jack murmured in a low voice. He didn't mean to threaten her, but the thought of Sylvia having dinner later with Jeremy made him uneasy. "All right, I'll take you to the party." Sylvia gave up struggling for the sake of her nephew. "But can you give me a watch like that too after the party?" Hearing her words, Jack turned around and responded with a happy smile. "I'll give you anything you want." Rolling her eyes, Sylvia said, "You were just saying that. I asked you for the watch and you said no to me twice." "It's because Jeremy will be at the party. I don't like that." Jack told her the truth. "Why? I held your hand and ran out of the room just now, right in front of him." Sylvia laughed. You wouldn't have held my hand if I didn't have pads, said Jack, dropping his head disappointedly. Sylvia was surprised. She didn't expect him to grasp things so clearly sometimes. She stayed silent for a while, then said, "But you bought me what I needed the most. You may not believe it, but it was the first time a boy has ever bought pads for me. You're very thoughtful." "Didn't you have a boyfriend before?" Jack was confused. "He was in the army, away from home. If he could have come back once a year, I'd have been so happy. After he was discharged, he came home and we broke up. I think we had been together way too long because we rarely saw each other. Normally, we talked on the phone. What we showed each other were our best sides. When we finally had a chance to spend every day together, we realized we weren't compatible. So please don't be jealous of him. If he and I could get back together, we would have done that long ago." Jack's eyes sparkled. It was the first time she talked to him about Jeremy. Before that, he always worried that he might not measure up to him and that they might get back together again. Now he felt reassured. "Also, you were awesome during the trial." Sylvia stepped forward and hugged him. "Thank you for giving the criminal the punishment he deserves." Jack was stunned. How come Sylvia suddenly hugged him near the toilet? He wasn't prepared for that at all. Just now, when Carlo hugged him, he felt as if a mountain was laid upon him. However, when Sylvia hugged him, he felt as if a great burden was lifted and he was floating high above the clouds. "Just because we're hugging doesn't mean I will marry you," Sylvia said to him jokingly. Jack felt embarrassed under her gaze. "Then I won't be saving my money for you," he murmured. "What?" Sylvia had very sharp ears. She was not happy to hear that. She leaned toward him aggressively and said, "You're not saving your money for me? Whom are you saving your money for then?" Under that threatening look in her eyes, Jack shrank toward the window and curled up his body. He sniffed at her and said, "Sylvia, you smell so nice." "Are you trying to distract me?" Sylvia lowered her head further and further, attempting to burn him with her sharp eyes. Jack stopped trying to avoid her, but stared her straight in the eyes. She was coming closer and closer to him, and his heart was thumping. Abruptly, Sylvia realized that she couldn't go anywhere closer to him or her lips would land on his cheek. Instantly, she felt a little awkward. As she prepared to move away, Jack suddenly held her arms and said with a weak voice, "I want that person to be you, if it's possible." The two of them were so close to each other. His eyes were sparkling before hers. His skin was so tender, and his lips looked pink and soft. How could a man's lips look so beautiful, even without lipstick? Sylvia was tempted by his good look. She fixed her eyes on his lips and leaned forward and kissed him. Jack popped his eyes. He heard thunders from inside his head. That was just a shallow kiss, but he felt so overwhelmed. She kissed him. His first kiss was taken without warning. He instantly blushed scarlet and pressed his lips together. Her lips tasted great. However, the kiss happened so fast that he couldn't even react. Sylvia realized what she had done. She wanted to crawl under the car. What did she do? She kissed a man on his lips? His lips were soft, though. Those lips were like jelly. That was probably because he spent most of his time in the lab without exposing his lips to the sunlight and the wind. Seeing the man with his eyes wide open, looking like a baby deer, Sylvia coughed awkwardly, then said with a dry voice, "I'm probably too thirsty." "You are thirsty, so you kiss me?" Jack sounded not so happy. Sylvia had her face reddened. In for a penny, in for a pond. She decided to be thick-skinned. "I kissed you. So what? What's the big deal?" "You have to be responsible for me." Jack gathered his courage and said, "That was my first kiss." "Didn't you give your first kiss to your parents?" Sylvia snorted. "That was my first time being kissed by a girl." Jack touched his lips and said, I'm yours now. Sylvia didn't know what to say. She didn't foresee that result. I didn't force you just now. You kissed me yourself. As Sylvia stayed silent, Jack said with a grievance. You're right. Sylvia spent a long while in silence. She felt as if her head was aching. She planned to take it slowly. Why on earth did she kiss him without thinking? He was good-looking indeed. But she should not kiss him just like that. She has a handsome brother. Her sister-in-law's brother was handsome too. She should be immune to good-looking boys. If Aaron knew about that, he would definitely laugh at her. Okay, I'll be responsible for you, but don't tell anyone else about it, Sylvia said to him with a very serious look. About what? Jack was confused. About us? No, I don't want to be your secret lover. He shook his head quickly. He could accept her other requests, but not that one. Sylvia didn't answer. She wanted to know what the boy was thinking. I'm talking about the kiss, she said weakly. Oh, I get it. You should have made it clear, Jack said in a low voice, glancing at her. His delicate lip corners curved slightly in a smile. His eyes radiated pleasantness. Seeing that look of his, Sylvia didn't have the heart to say another word. She started the car again. Jack glanced at the area where the vehicle was parked. He was feeling happy. On the way, something else crossed Jack's mind. Earlier, I didn't feel I have a good reason to attend the party, but now I suddenly feel confident, he said with a laugh. Why did you insist on going to the party with me then? The corner of Sylvia's mouth twitched slightly. Because I'm jealous, said Jack in a weak voice. I was afraid that Jeremy might steal you away from me. He seemed to care a lot about her genuinely. Hearing his words gave Sylvia a warm feeling inside. It turned out that he was not some silly boy who knew nothing else but stepping back and giving up. He knew how to fight for what he wanted. She liked being a queen, but sometimes she liked being a princess. After arriving at the parking lot of the restaurant, Sylvia prepared the gifts, then got out of the car. Jack followed along next to her. Sylvia, are we together now? He asked. Sylvia turned and peered into his confused eyes, unsure what to say. Didn't I just say I'd be responsible for you now? Does he want me to ask him to be with me? Enough! She would feel even more embarrassed if this discussion continued. Being responsible can have different meanings. Jack scratched the back of his head and said, For example, in TV dramas when a man says that to a woman, it means he probably wants to marry her. So what about us? Are we together? Or are we getting married? What kind of TV dramas are you watching? The kind where the main male character gets drunk and sleeps with a female, and in the morning says to her, I'll be responsible for you. Jack answered the question honestly. I didn't know you watched such cliched TV dramas. Sylvia was surprised. She recalled him fixing his eyes on the TV all the time when he was waiting for her at the police station. Was he watching TV? Occasionally, said Jack. So, are we getting married? No! Sylvia almost laughed. He was pretending to be weak and innocent, wasn't he? Sylvia had a deep blush on her face along with a small smile of disbelief. Jack has to be joking, right? Who gets married over a kiss? I only kissed you. How can we get married because of a kiss? It's not as if I've done something else to you. Sylvia poked his chest with her finger and said, What you're doing now is like bargaining for stolen goods. All right, so we're not getting married, but why are you yelling at me? Jack complained. I didn't take the initiative to kiss you. I wanted to do that countless times, but I never let myself. All right, I lack self-control, okay? Sylvia felt like crying. Also, don't you hate talking? You're talking a lot now. Isn't your jaw tired? Talking to other people is exhausting, but talking to you is like a sweet burden, said Jack, smiling. Sylvia let that one go. Does he not like talking? He's pretty good at it. Let's go upstairs. Dinner's almost ready, she said. Aaron booked the largest banquet hall for his son. Sylvia and Jack took the elevator to that floor. When they got off, they saw Aaron standing by the door, holding his son in his arms. After guiding some guests into the hall, Aaron turned and saw Sylvia and Jack walking toward them. His handsome face instantly started twitching, revealing all kinds of expressions. Finally, he managed to look at the two of them. Brother, let me see my lovely nephew. Sylvia pretended not to notice the look on her brother's face, but walked straight to her nephew and reached out her arms. The baby knew her. He gave her a big grin and almost melted her heart. She made an effort to calm herself down, kiss the baby, and say to Aaron, Big brother, this is Jack Kipling. You guys have met. Big brother. Jack had been keeping Sylvia's words in his mind. He quickly nodded and greeted Aaron. I'm not your big brother, Aaron thought. Then he asked him, How old are you? 30. So I'm not your big brother. Aaron wore a cold face. I'm only 32. Yeah? Jack blinked. A weird look flashed across his eyes. What's that look in your eyes? Aaron grasped it and sneered. Do you think you look younger than me? No. Jack hurriedly shook his head. Of course, he didn't dare to admit that he did. Sylvia heaved a sigh of relief. Thankfully, he didn't share his real feelings, but she decided to do it for him. Brother, you do look older than he does, she said. Run that by me again. Aaron narrowed his eyes and took a step forward. Jack hurriedly stepped before Sylvia. He racked his brain to come up with some comforting words. Don't mind me, I heard that people do tend to look older than before when they had kids. Taking care of children can be quite exhausting. I might even look older than you when I have kids with Sylvia. Who's gonna have kids with you? Who said you can have kids with Sylvia? Said brother and sister in unison. Jack rubbed his ears and added, I know I'm not qualified to have kids with her yet, but I'll do my best. Okay, time to go inside. Sylvia quickly put a small jewelry box into Apple's pocket, then dragged Jack into the hall. Oh no, what happened next was even worse than facing Aaron at the door. In less than a minute, all members of both sides of the family rose to their feet as if they had just seen a first-class protected animal. Ahead of the others, Shane walked over with a smile and said, Sylvia, you have a boyfriend, a handsome one. Cool. Then his wife came over after him and said, He looks so gentle and polite. I can tell he's from a family of academics. Sylvia, I didn't know that you already had a boyfriend. As if that wasn't enough, Melvin, a cousin of Aaron, chimed in. Sylvia, not bad. You're all about strength and he's gentle. You two are a perfect match for each other. The boy is so pretty, said Grandma Bennett. He looks like a superstar, no worse than Aaron. You two will have beautiful children. The boy is pretty, said Esther. He looks so nice. I like him. Sylvia, I thought you were focused solely on work, but I see I was wrong. You're focusing on both your job and your romantic relationship. I don't think Sylvia's good enough for you, said Zachary. What a beautiful boy. He looks so tender. He's young, isn't he? Caitlin said. Hearing all that made Sylvia's ears numb. She knew that would happen. Ever since she broke up with Jeremy and Aaron got married and had a kid, the whole family had their eyes on her. But why was everyone complimenting Jack? They made it sound as if she wasn't good enough for him. Those were her family members, not his. She turned to Jack. Surprisingly, under the gaze of so many people, he was not nervous at all. She couldn't tell if his composure was due to insensitivity or to being used to occasions like this.
I know you.
David, who had met Jack, came out of the crowd, looked at Jack in a complicated way, and said,
Why are you two together again?
Have you two already met? Hearing his words, Caitlin immediately looked at him with great interest. Why didn't I know that Sylvia had such a good-looking guy in her life? No wonder she called the boys I introduced to her ugly.
He's Jack, a physicist, said David unhappily. The one who caused a scene in France last year?
Oh, him. Caitlin figured it out. She remembered trying to talk to her daughter into giving up on being with the boy. She even bought Sylvia a dog for that purpose. The dog's name was Jackie. A scientist, said Grandma, nodding delightfully. I'm surprised our Sylvia's with a scientist. Good, good. Our ancestors must have been blessing the family. We've never raised a scientist yet. Melvin clucked his tongue and said,
He doesn't look like a scientist. Sylvia, I thought all scientists spend their lives in labs without knowing about the outside world.
Sylvia kept her thoughts to herself. Why is my family acting this way?
What are you talking about?
David wasn't so happy.
Why do you make it sound like Sylvia is worse than a scientist? She is an ordinary police officer, yes, but she works so hard to serve the people. Her job is full of difficulties, from small things like finding lost cats to big things like solving tough murder cases. Everything she's done is good. Not to mention her good looks. I can tell you, you won't find a better rich girl in this city.
Sylvia nodded. She deeply agreed with her father.
Mind your language. Grandpa furrowed his brows and reminded the others. The Carter family's here. They're looking at us.
Oh, yeah. His words reminded Grandma. After all, the Bennett and Carter families had been friends for many years. Sylvia, said Grandma, introduce us to Jack. He looks confused.
He's always like this,
said David blandly. How can you say that? Grandma said to him. Show some respect to the scientist. This is the first time that I, your mother, am seeing a living scientist.
Like you've seen a dead scientist? David quipped.
Yeah, I've seen them in textbooks. The others didn't know how to respond to that. Sylvia glanced at the confused Jack, then started introducing him to her big family. This is my grandma. Grandma, nice to meet you. Jack hurriedly greeted Grandma with a gentle voice. This is my grandfather. Grandpa, nice to meet you. Sylvia introduced every member of her family, from the oldest to the youngest. David remembered what happened when he saw Jack last time, so when Sylvia introduced him, he hurriedly said to Jack, Don't call me father. I'm not your father. Jack blinked his eyes and said, You are surely not my father yet. Sylvia and I haven't gotten married. Mr. Bennett, good to see you. The others burst out laughing.
Ha ha ha! Uncle, I'm so surprised you want him to call you father already, said Melvin.
David was so angry his face turned crimson.
Nonsense! I said that because he called me father last time. If you don't believe me, ask him about it.
Everyone turned to look at Jack. He spent a moment thinking, then shook his head and said, I don't remember. It's been so long.
How can you not admit it? You had the guts to call me father, but how come you don't have the guts to admit it? Said David. Father? Jack suddenly called him father. I said don't call me father. David almost lost his temper.
Jack blinked his eyes innocently and said, I called you father to prove that I have guts. David spun around and pressed a hand on his liver. He already had a son who was good at making him angry. If he had a son-in-law like that, he would die from apoplexy sooner or later.
Uncle, calm down. Melvin patted him on the shoulder. I understand how happy you are. Go away. David glared at him and walked away sullenly. He would have felt like punching someone if he stayed there any longer. After introducing her father, Sylvia introduced her mother to Jack. Mother? Jack called her mother directly. Caitlin buried her forehead in her hands and said, Well, it's the first time we're meeting, so you can just call me Auntie. Jack nodded and said, I get it, but I just called him father. Seems impolite not to call you mother. Caitlin didn't know how to respond. Sylvia's mouth corners twitched slightly. For the very first time, she found Jack pretty sly. Secretly, she patted him and reminded him, Be good. Don't say anything that you shouldn't say. Jack showed a trace of protest in his eyes, but he just nodded and said, I'll do what you say. People witnessed that. They couldn't bear watching the pitiful look on the boy's face. Sylvia, you're a girl. A girl should be gentle, said Esther. Don't be too bossy. Jack is right. It was inappropriate for him not to call her mother. Yeah, Grandma Bennett agreed. You should learn from Jack. The scientist has a good brain. Sylvia raised her head and gave a long sigh. What on earth did Jack do? He'd only been in the hall for a few minutes, but had already managed to get all the older ladies on his side with his good looks and occupation. After Sylvia introduced every family member to Jack, people started asking him how old he was. I'm 30 years old, Jack said. You don't look 30, said Caitlin with a surprised look. I thought you're only 23 or 24. My son's 30, but you two look so different. Aaron, who was walking into the hall with his son in his arms, heard what she said. His face instantly turned frosty cold. Mom, he said, who are you talking about? How different do we look? Tell me. Caitlin froze, then turned around and looked at her son's cold face and said, It's because he looks so young. You look 30. You run a company after all. You have this time-sharpened quality. That's how you rule the business world, right? As the angry look on his face eased, Aaron said to Jack, A man needs to be strong so he can protect his girl. Jack looked at Sylvia tenderly and said, My Sylvia's strong. I'll follow her lead. She is my queen. Sylvia blushed slightly. How could he say that in front of everyone? Oh my, did you hear him? Grandma couldn't have liked him more. Sylvia, you are so lucky. Esther envied her granddaughter. Cherish him, she said. Professor Jack, you're here too? April, who had greeted her own family, came over. April, do you two know each other? Yeah, I'm telling you. Professor Jack is amazing. A few days ago, he brought Sylvia out of a burning building on the 9th floor. Look at his hands. His hands are covered in wounds. He got injured saving Sylvia. April passionately shared what she knew with the others without noticing her husband's face becoming darker. Really? Grandma eyed the bandages on Jack's hands. No wonder you were so brave. Thank you for saving Sylvia's life. She must have saved the galaxy in her previous life, so she met you in her current life. How did you do that? Come sit with us and talk to me. Soon, Jack was surrounded by the elders of the Bennett family like a superstar. Even Sylvia ended up in a corner. With a sulky face, Aaron dragged April to the side, watching her silently. What are you doing? You're not jealous of Professor Jack, are you? April laughed. With pressed lips, Aaron stayed cold and silent. Are you upset because I told everyone that Professor Jack saved Sylvia? April folded her arms and said, I was telling the truth, wasn't I? Why are you so petty? Aaron sniffed. I don't understand why you women like him so much. Girls can be attracted to boys, but boys might be repulsed by the other boys, said April with a smile.
Erin didn't say anything. Seeing her husband become gloomier, April quickly held his arm and said, "Because he's handsome."
All right, stop.
Erin turned and left. "Dear, don't go." April held him. "But you, of course, are the most handsome guy in my world." On hearing that, Erin stopped moving, curved his lips downward, glanced at her, and asked,
Which one of us do you think looks younger? Answer honestly. If you lie to me, you'll be punished so hard in bed.
April scratched the back of her head and said, "You don't need to compare yourself with him. He's much younger than you." Erin went silent. He forgot that April wasn't there when Jack told everyone his age. He gave a cold smile, then turned and carried the baby away. No matter how loudly April called his name, he did not respond to her. He didn't care what the others thought, but she was his wife. Jeez! That was so humiliating. April was bewildered. She saw Richard arrive together with Jennifer, so she went up to greet them. "Hey, you two, how's it going? It's not often that I see you together." Jennifer smiled and said, "I wasn't there when you had your baby, so I had to be here at his 100-day-old party. Where is he?" "Erin has him."
Tell him to bring him here,
said Richard, smiling. "He just left in a huff. I don't know why. He's not talking to me," April replied.
Maybe he's on his period,
said Richard. "Maybe. So, when are you guys getting married?" asked April. Richard froze, then glanced at Jennifer and said, "It's up to her. I'm willing to do it any time." "My schedule's too full this year." Jennifer changed the subject and asked April, "When are you going back to work? You're my exclusive voice actor. In the middle of the year, the post-production of my latest film will be starting. You'll be doing the voiceovers by then. The film was directed by your little brother." "Great. I was going to talk to you about that. Being home every day looking after the baby is starting to get to me." April gave a bitter smile. "I look forward to having you back," Jennifer smiled.
Who's surrounded by your family over there?
Richard saw Jack and asked the question. "Jack, I think he's Sylvia's boyfriend now," April explained. Hearing that, Richard immediately glanced at Jeremy and his family. They seemed to feel quite embarrassed. They were chatting with the other guests. Awkwardly, though.
Her boyfriend ran into her ex? This is going to be troublesome.
Richard sighed.
Jeremy and Sylvia have gone separate ways in the end. We grew up together. I always felt that the two of them would get married sooner or later. Well, from now on, it's going to be awkward for the Carter family and Bennett family to gather together.
April smiled but didn't say a word.
I'll go say hi to Jeremy in case he feels bad,
Richard said, then walked toward the Carter family's table together with Jennifer. Jeremy had seen. He stood up to greet them, and the two of them punched each other in the chest.
I am finally seeing you in person. You're with your girlfriend all day now? Said Jeremy.
Richard laughed, then said to Jennifer,
Let me introduce you two to each other. This is Jeremy. He's like a brother of mine. Him, Erin, and me, we grew up together.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Carter. Jennifer and Jeremy shook each other's hands.
Miss Jennifer, you look so much prettier in person than on the screen. Richard is lucky to have you.
Seeing the two standing side by side, Jeremy honestly envied them. Before, Erin and Richard were always single. Now both of them had lovers, and he himself no longer had Sylvia. Feeling his sadness, Richard comforted him.
Don't think too much about what's gone. People always need to look ahead. Sylvia's moved on, and so should you.
Jeremy gave a bitter smile. Richard was the second person to tell him to move on today. Besides them, Mrs. Carter said unhappily,
I've been telling him to go for blind dates since long ago. Last time I introduced a great girl to him, but he refused to meet her. He insisted on waiting for Sylvia to come back to him. What now? She has a boyfriend. Seriously. Earlier, Sylvia demanded Jeremy leave the army and come back here. He did what she asked, but she broke up with him to be with someone else. It was her family who wanted her and Jeremy to get married.
But before the wedding, she canceled it. We had handed out the invitations already. I am really disappointed in her." Mr. Carter was wearing a sullen face too.
"Now she's brought her new boyfriend here. Many on the scene know that she is Jeremy's ex-fiancée. But now, I feel so ashamed."
Richard furrowed his eyebrows. Jeremy interrupted them and said, "Mom, Dad, stop. I've told you that I didn't get married to Sylvia because I did something wrong. It wasn't her fault. I really didn't care for her enough. I'm the reason why she broke up with me. She has really done a lot for me."
"Now you're speaking for her?"
Mrs. Carter shook her head and said,
"When you left the army, you had so many choices, yet you chose to become a police officer. Wasn't that because of Sylvia? I thought you'd get back together. After all, you worked together. But in the end, things became like this. Forget it. Your father and I shouldn't have come here at all." "Uncle, Auntie, don't say that."
Richard was aware that some elderly people tended to be narrow-minded sometimes, but he still felt a little uncomfortable.
"Carter family and Bennett family have been friends for decades after all," he said. "Besides, Sylvia spent years waiting for Jeremy. There must be a reason why they broke up in the end." "There's nothing more to say. Anyway, they're not getting back together."
Mr. Carter waved a hand, indicating that he didn't want to continue talking.
Let's go see Little Apple."
Oof. Richard and Jennifer made a quick exit. They found Aaron adjusting his son's clothes.
"What's going on between you and April?" asked Richard. "How can you be pissed off at her at your son's 100-day-old party? Aren't you ashamed?"
Aaron grinned coldly and said,
"She hurt me deeply."
Richard and Jennifer looked at each other in disbelief. Then Richard said,
"I don't think so. She doesn't even know what she did to upset you."
Aaron laughed with a frosty voice.
"That's even worse."
Jennifer wisely kept her mouth shut. She had never known this childish side of Mr. Bennett. Meanwhile, on the other side of the room, Sylvia recited the story of how Jack had rescued her from the burning building. Grandma sighed, held Jack's hand, and said, "Don't worry. I will always remember that you saved the life of my dear granddaughter. From now on, you are the savior of our family. If Sylvia ever treats you unfairly, you can come to us. We'll bring you justice." Esther couldn't stop nodding. The more she looked at Jack, the more she liked him. "Sylvia, treasure him. It's not easy to find such a great boy. You're not a child anymore. It's time for you to get married." "Yeah," Grandma nodded. "When are you two getting married? Jack, you can choose the date, but before that, we need to meet your parents." Jack was astonished on hearing that. Why were people suddenly talking about marriage? He was fine with it, though. "Okay," he said. "Not okay," Sylvia interrupted him. She was nearly driven crazy. She had foreseen this scene. "Please, this is only recently that we've gotten together. We're still getting to know each other." Jack nodded. "Yes, Sylvia said she'll be responsible for me." "Be responsible for you?" Grandma's eyes widened.
"Mr. Jack," Melvin said, surprised. "My cousin didn't lose control of herself and did something bad to you, did she?"
On hearing that, Jack turned beet red. No, he stuttered. After saying that, he shyly dropped his head. Even the roots of his ears had turned red. That look of his indicated that Sylvia's remark had affected him. People turned their sharp eyes to Sylvia.
"Sylvia, I didn't know,"
Melvin chuckled. "Shut up." Sylvia glared at him. She felt like crawling into a hole. "Why on earth did I agree to take Jack to the party?" "Grandma understands," said Grandma, patting the back of Sylvia's head. After all, a pretty boy like Jack was a rarity, a gem. It was understandable that her granddaughter would want to be with him. Her granddaughter was outstandingly beautiful and capable. She could afford to eat the boy alive. "Grandma, you don't understand." Sylvia felt as if she was on the verge of a breakdown. All she could do was seek help from Grandpa.
Enough already! Let the young people handle their own lives, said Grandpa. Let them make their own decisions. Let's not add to their stress. Besides, Sylvia said this was their first time out together. I'm worried Sylvia might take advantage of Jack. Grandma took out her phone and said to him, Do you use social media? Add me to your contact list. Grandma, since when did you start using social media? Asked Sylvia. April got me an account earlier so I can video chat with little Apple and send voice messages to him, said Grandma, smiling. Jack immediately nodded and said, Yeah, me too. I got a cell phone and social media account not long ago. Really? What a coincidence. Grandma's eyes were glowing. I'm still learning. There are some functions I don't understand yet. Silently, Sylvia watched her boyfriend and her grandma talking to each other happily. She wanted to cry, but could not shed one tear. Had the two of them become friends already? Sylvia's auntie came over and whispered to her, Your boyfriend's trying so hard to earn your grandma's favor. He's even pretending that he doesn't know how social media works. Sylvia looked at her helplessly and said, He doesn't know how it works. He didn't even have a cell phone when I first met him. No way! Her aunt was surprised. Who doesn't use a cell phone these days? You've found yourself a treasure. Nowadays, many guys spend their waking hours staring at their phones, chatting, or playing games. Look at Melvin. His girlfriend broke up with him because he spent too much time on his phone. Mom, please. The people who don't know the truth might think I was chatting with some girls online. I was watching international news, Melvin replied. Yeah, you were concerned about a lot of things. You're even interested in international news, Aunt said. At this point, the waitstaff started serving the meal. Caitlin told April and Aaron to come over and take a seat. April came first. Aaron put Apple in her arms and picked up a glass of wine to propose a toast. Sylvia asked April, What happened between you and my brother just now? You guys weren't even talking to each other. I don't know. April was confused too. He asked me a question. He wanted me to tell him if Jack looked younger. I answered the question and then he got angry. Sylvia blinked. What did you say? I said that Jack is so much younger than he is, so he doesn't need to compare himself to him. That's the truth. I don't know what's in his mind. Sylvia sat in silence. Those were the most hurtful words her brother had heard today. She cleared her throat, then patted April on the shoulder and said, Actually, Jack is 30 years old too, just like my brother. April's eyes popped out in shock. Then she stammered, He doesn't look 30. Just go and comfort my brother. I'll hold Apple for you. Sylvia took the baby from her. Oh, okay, thank you. April hurriedly walked toward Aaron. Seeing Sylvia holding the baby, Jack moved next to her and carefully looked at the baby's face. Normally, he had no feelings for children at all. However, he liked that baby, probably because he looked a little like Sylvia. April stared back at him with his large, black, sparkling eyes. Jack looked back at the boy. The two of them stared into each other's eyes without making a sound. After spending a short time eating, Sylvia found the two of them still staring at each other. What are you two doing? Communicating with each other through your eyes? She said. I think he wants to talk to me. Jack reached out his arms and said, Give him to me. You can focus on your food. Do you know how to hold him? Sylvia didn't trust him with the baby. I will be holding a baby sooner or later. I can practice. Jack thought for a moment, then answered her question. Yes, you should let him practice.
Melvin instantly agreed with Jack.
Sylvia's never going to be a great mother. She's heavy-handed.
Shut up! Sylvia felt like shoving a big chunk of meat in his mouth to stop him from talking. Why on earth were her brother and cousin both so sharp-tongued? It was not easy for her to grow into a mentally healthy person around those two.
It's okay. I'll be looking after our children, said Jack. All Sylvia has to do is be happy.
Aw, did you hear him? How sweet! Grandma was so happy.
Young man, acting is more important than saying. Who can't say sweet words? Said David coldly.
Jack nodded and said, You're right, Father. Looking at his innocent face, David wanted to vomit blood.
I've told you not to call me father.
Sure, Mr. Bennett. Jack nodded again. The mild-mannered and obedient Jack even gave Grandma heartburn. She turned and scolded her son. David, be nice to my future grandson-in-law. Look at him. He's so polite. He's tender and honest. But that doesn't mean you can bully him. You are taking advantage of your seniority.
Look who's talking, David muttered under his breath.
Who are you talking about? Said Grandma, looking daggers at him.
No one. Mom, try this. It's delicious.
David offered his mom some prawns. On the other side of the room, Aaron was dragged into the hallway after making a toast celebrating his son's 100 days.
What?
He said coolly.
Make it quick. I'm busy.
Look at your petty face. April held his arm, shaking him. I'm sorry. I didn't know Jack's age. I thought he was younger than you. Is that such a big deal?
It's because he looks so much younger than I do, right? Said Aaron sourly. You all think that way. I don't care what other people think. After all, I'm a generous person. But you, babe, I'm disappointed in you.
Aaron, you misunderstood. Jack does look like a 20-year-old boy, but he's also very immature. To be honest, I don't like the boys who look like him. They're not as tall and strong as you are. They don't have the manly vibe you have. Normally, men in their 30s are at their peak of maturity and charm, said April with a poker face. You are the perfect guy. As for Jack, he still needs to be sharpened over time. Only when he grows into a mature man like you can he be considered a real man.
I get it.
Aaron curved his lips in a smile.
You think he's too immature, right?
I do, April lied. But Aaron, this is only between you and me. Don't say anything like that in front of him. He's Sylvia's boyfriend after all.
I understand.
Aaron playfully put a lock of her hair behind her ear and said happily and sheepishly,
I wouldn't have been angry if you told me this earlier.
Well, how could I have? You stormed off in a huff. April pouted. I couldn't even stop you.
Yeah, I lost my cool.
Aaron took her in his arms, lowered his head, and kissed her. There were some other people in the hallway, so April felt a little embarrassed. She pushed him back inside the banquet hall and said enthusiastically, Let's eat. I'm starving. Back at the table, Sylvia was still holding Apple while Jack deftly picked conch meat for her. The prawns were served, so he promptly started to focus on removing the shells for her. He even removed some fish bones, too. Observing him, April sighed. Aaron did that for her, too, but he wasn't as careful as Jack was. Sylvia, I'll take Apple now. Thanks for watching him. April took the cooing baby into her arms. Did you make peace? Asked Sylvia with a conspiratorial wink. Yep, I did. April nodded. Sylvia glanced at her brother who had a big grin on his face. She clicked her tongue and said, April, you're spoiling my brother. Isn't this nice? April chuckled. No other woman can stand him now. Sylvia paused briefly with surprise. That made sense.
Oh, what is this?
Aaron found his son wearing a tiny watch. Jack invented this, Sylvia tittered. I've tried it. It's amazing. She introduced the functions of the watch. Whoever heard her was stunned. Seriously? Aaron couldn't believe it. Let me try. Brother, be careful. This thing's really amazing. It can even detect sexual dysfunction and deficiency of the kidneys, said Sylvia seriously. Aaron's handsome face instantly grew dark. What do you mean? He said. Do you think I have sexual dysfunction and deficiency of the kidneys? If I have those, where did Apple come from? Why did your sister-in-law get married to... Before he could finish, a piece of meat was thrust into his mouth, which made him stop talking. The oily meat made him want to vomit. He glared at April. We wouldn't think of you as a mute if you stayed quiet, April said to him. Aaron had no choice but to swallow the meat. It's all right. I just want you to know that people who have those conditions, who don't want others to know, shouldn't try the watch, because they might be embarrassed. It can even detect menstruation, Sylvia declared. Hearing her words, some people at the table fell silent. At last, David reached out his arm and said, I don't believe it. Let me try. I am perfectly healthy. Aaron handed him the watch. David put it on, and after about 10 seconds, the watch reported. Gastrointestinal secretion of digestive fluid decreased. Intestinal tension and peripheries weakened. Abdominal and pelvic floor muscle weakness. Anal and internal sphincter weakened. Gastrocolic reflex weakened. Rectal sensitivity decreased. Food stays in the intestine too long. Excessive absorption of water caused constipation. People didn't understand the first part of the report, but after hearing the last few words, they burst into laughter. David's entire face reddened. It's wrong, he said. Brother, it's not wrong, Shane laughed. Haven't you been complaining about that a lot lately? David glared at him. Dad, it's okay, April hurriedly said. It's nothing, it's just constipation. We can all have that sometimes. I'm having that problem now. The sulky look on David's face eased slightly when he heard April's words. Then the watch continued reporting. It is recommended that the elderly eat more grains containing crude fiber, vegetables, fruits, and beans. Drink more water, at least 1,500 milliliters of water every day, especially a cup of warm water every morning or before meals, which can effectively prevent constipation. Who's elderly? I'm not even turning 60 yet. I can even fight in a war now. David angrily stood up, quickly took off the watch, and handed it back to Aaron. This watch is talking complete nonsense. It's not saying that you're 60, said Jack. After all, the watch can't tell your exact age. It's saying that your digestive system is almost like that of a 60-year-old person. It means you need to adjust your diet to better the condition of your digestion system. It rarely happened, but Grandpa nodded to agree this time. David, you do need to be careful with your diet. You like oily food too much and you have meals outside all the time. Also, you drink a lot. This watch is good indeed. David put on a long face and fell into silence. If he knew that the watch could diagnose constipation, he would have never put it on. Does anyone else want to try? Sylvia raised her brows. Shane hurriedly waved his hand and said, No. Sylvia said smilingly. So everyone seems to have some secret little health problems. Brother, aren't you going to try it? Didn't you say you want to try? Aaron hurriedly put a hand on his forehead and said, Your sister-in-law made me eat a piece of fat meat just now. I feel so sick. I need to rest or I might throw up. Sylvia almost laughed out loud. She didn't often have the chance to see her brother frightened. April glanced at Aaron, then said to Jack, Mr. Kipling, thank you for giving our Apple such a precious gift. This watch is helpful for us indeed. We don't know how to thank you. Are you free this afternoon? Come to our house if you are.
I'll go if Sylvia goes.
Jack turned and looked at Sylvia without blinking. You don't need to work this afternoon, do you? Come on, April smiled. We'll have dinner at home. Everyone will be there. All right. Sylvia had decided to spend the afternoon at April and Aaron's villa anyway. She just didn't know that she would be bringing Jack there too. After lunch, Aaron and April stood up, escorting the guests out of the restaurant. He walked the Carter family out first. Before leaving, Mr. Carter smiled at him sourly, then said,
Aaron, congratulations. Sylvia's so lucky to be with a scientist. I've heard about it. Look at how happy your families are.
Aaron furrowed his brow slightly, then responded with,
I don't know much about Sylvia's boyfriend, but she has broken up with Jeremy already. She couldn't always be single, could she? The people in our family all wanted her to find someone.
Mrs. Carter wanted to say something, but Jeremy glared at her and stopped her. Apologetically, he said to Aaron,
Aaron, I'm not going to your house this afternoon. I need to go to the police station.
Watching the Carter family leave, Aaron sighed.
Uncle Carter and Auntie Carter are feeling uncomfortable.
April thought for a moment and said, They wouldn't feel so uncomfortable if their son had a girlfriend. They just feel embarrassed. They believe that their son is the best, yet before he found a new girlfriend, Sylvia's already with someone. They feel it's unfair. Look at your father. Your father urged Sylvia to find someone earlier. Wasn't he thinking the same as them? Aaron didn't say anything. She was right.
Aaron, congratulations! You're a father! I should leave now.
A tall young man walked over wearing a perfectly tailored black suit. His chiseled face made him look polite and serious. One would find his eyes as deep as an abyss when looking into them. Those eyes could even make people feel fear.
Brandon, thank you for coming.
Aaron shook his hand and said,
I was too busy to welcome you properly. I'm sorry. It's all right. Let's get together when you have the time,
said Brandon. After saying that, he nodded at April, then turned and left. April had known Aaron for a long time, but it was the first time she met Brandon. Who is this Mr. Brandon? Why have I never seen him?
I have many friends in Rosewood City. Have you met them all?
Aaron smiled. No, this Mr. Brandon is especially... Under Aaron's gaze, April changed the word good-looking to nice.
Nice.
Aaron gave a small smile and said,
How do you know that he's nice? You don't even know him.
You're right. April immediately nodded. He looks quite good, not ugly at least. Did you meet him recently? I don't think he showed up at our wedding.
He's my high school classmate. Before you became my girlfriend, I hung out with him occasionally. He's the only one among my classmates that I'm still in contact with. We were both good at studying, so we had some shared topics. 3 years ago, he was transferred to another town for work. He only got transferred back this year,
Aaron said blandly. So, who was better at studying? April asked as she curved her lips downward.
I joined the army, so he became the top student of our year. I gave him that chance,
said Aaron proudly. April tried hard not to laugh. You said that he was transferred to another town. Does he work for the government?
He's a judge,
said Aaron with a serious face. April was stunned for a moment, then admiration grew in her heart. Impressive. I didn't know a judge could be so young and handsome.
Handsome?
Aaron raised his brows.
Didn't you say he looks not ugly? How come he's handsome now?
April coughed slightly and said, He can't be compared to you, of course. I never heard about your judge friend before. I'm impressed. I guess he really was a top-scored student, just like you. Aaron proudly raised his chin. He liked to hear that.
There's nothing to talk about. I know a judge, no big deal. Could I ask the judge for help if I broke the law? Besides, he only became a judge last year. I'm a businessman while he's working in politics. Sometimes what we know can be quite sensitive. Brandon is especially cautious. As his name states, he is cold and heartless. Don't you doubt me? Earlier, when he was doing judicial work, he once met his uncle in court. He put his uncle in prison for 10 years. Only afterward did people find out that the convict was related to him. Not long after that, his parents got a divorce. April's eyes widened in surprise. She really did admire people like that. Not everyone could be so impartial and incorruptible. She said. Admirable. I wouldn't be able to do that if I were him. That's why you can only be my wife. Erin smiled and put an arm around her waist. Oh, April raised her head and said, have you been having some health problems lately? Why wouldn't you try on that watch? Erin's handsome face froze for a moment. He responded. I'm fine, but there might be some unknown problems. It was better that I didn't try it on so I wouldn't be embarrassed. Really? April didn't believe him. Believe it or not, said Erin. Let's go and get Apple. Sylvia's probably getting tired of holding him. After saying that, he quickly walked away. April looked at his back and narrowed her eyes. Everyone headed back to the villa. All the guests had brought their cars. Jack and Sylvia were still in the same car. On the way, Sylvia said to him, you shouldn't have accepted my sister-in-law's invitation. The guys are going to play cards and you don't know how to play. Jack fell into deep thought. A short while later, he said, I don't know how to play cards. I hate playing cards. Me too, Sylvia sighed. But that's how you spend your time with your elders. We used to go to clubs and bars, play sports and fishing together. Now everybody's too busy. We don't hang out together as often as before. It's okay. I can be in a daze. You can play cards with them and ignore me, said Jack honestly. Sylvia didn't know what to say. She had heard about killing time by watching TV or playing on a cell phone. Being in a daze? That was new. After arriving at the villa, Richard insisted on inviting Jack for the card game. You're a man. You have to learn to play cards or there will be no fun. After you and Sylvia get married, you'll certainly need to join our games on New Year and other festivals. Come on, I'll teach you. Don't worry, we're all young people. I'll let you win. Sylvia looked at Jack, who seemed to be reluctant. She didn't have the heart to make him play cards against his own will. He doesn't like playing cards. Why are you forcing him? Hey, you guys haven't got married yet, but you're protecting him already? Richard said jokingly. How about this? We're not going to bully the beginner. If he loses, he need not give us money. But we'll give him money if we lose. That's very nice of you, Sylvia hesitated. I'm sorry, I disagree. Jeffrey, who was also dragged into the game, joined the conversation in a bland tone. What if he had help? Erin nodded. I can't give my money to other people for no good reason, not even to my sister. My money belongs to my wife. His wife kindly gave him some allowance for the card game. How could he possibly lose it all? He needed to use that money to earn more and to rebuild his fortune. Sylvia speechlessly glanced at her brother, who now looked like a slave to his wife. I've seen no one's brother as stingy as you are. I believe that April will never agree with what you said. After she said that, Jack carefully put his wallet into her hand and said, I have money. You can play the game with my money. It was the third time he said how important money was. Sylvia raised her head, sighed, then said seriously, I have no chance to win from those foxes. They're all so good at calculating. She was especially talking about her brother and Jeffrey. She played cards with Jeffrey on New Year's. He was young and cunning. No matter how she tried, she could never beat her brother or Jeffrey. Sometimes she wondered if Aaron was really her brother. He probably was. Aaron had taken all the good genes of their parents. It's okay. I have money, Jack grinned and said innocently. I don't care. Sylvia didn't know what to say. Rich people could do whatever they wanted nowadays. Richard couldn't stop complimenting Jack. Sylvia, your boyfriend's so generous. Since he said that, you should just play the game on behalf of him. I will not make you lose."
"Richard, you were the only nice one," Sylvia said to him, then glanced at her brother. Like people said, you could learn about someone's real face in a card game. Since the invitation had been made, Sylvia didn't have the heart to reject her friends. However, she regretted her decision after 5 minutes into the game. Erin was honestly too good at calculating. So were Jeffrey and Richard. She was still confused, and the three had already started an intense battle. Facing the card masters, she had no other choice but to use her bombs over and over again.
"I really don't want to take your bomb, but this is the second time."
Erin slowly spread his cards and said,
"This is boring. I was going to win a bigger one."
"Do not take it then," Sylvia clenched her teeth.
"You've used 2 bombs. I wouldn't have had a good chance to win more, even if I didn't take your bomb," said Erin blandly.
Sylvia took a deep breath and glanced at Jack, who was sitting beside her. He was looking outside through the window. "What are you thinking?" she asked him. Hearing her voice, Jack turned back and said, "I'm looking at the birds out there. Global warming is growing more and more serious, and so is air pollution. I wonder if the children of our children will still be able to see birds." He was thinking about that while she was losing at the game? She felt like she wanted to rip her hair out. Jennifer, who was sitting beside Richard, smiled and said, "Mr. Jack is sentimental. Your girlfriend is losing the game. Are you going to help her? You may not know how to play the game, but you can always learn." Jack paused briefly, then said to Sylvia, "It's okay. This card game is only a way of entertainment. Some battles you win and some you lose. Think positively." Richard almost burst into laughter. Even Jeffrey couldn't help but curve his lips into a small smile. Unlike them, Aaron stayed expressionless. He was used to Jack's weird behavior. Sylvia almost cried. "I'm sorry I can't think as positively as you do," she said. Jack furrowed his eyebrows and moved his lips slightly, but he didn't say anything. In the end, he took out his phone and started to spend time on it. Sylvia was so unhappy. It was not his fault that he did not know how to play cards. However, he shouldn't be spending time on his phone and thinking about global warming when she was losing money. Sylvia lost a few other rounds. In the end, she gave up. It was not her money that she was losing anyway. The real owner of the money didn't care, so why should she be so anxious? However, losing the game made her feel uncomfortable. Kira walked over and said, "It's inappropriate for you guys to bully a girl, isn't it?"
"We're not bullying her. She lost. Besides, I didn't take her bombs unless I had to," said Jeffrey blandly.
Sometimes people just won. When someone won big, all the others in the game had to pay. So far, the 3 guys had each won a few rounds, so none of them suffered a heavy loss. Sylvia was the only one who hadn't gotten a chance to win yet. "Sylvia," Kira sighed, "how about I play for you? I'm better than you at this." Right when Sylvia was thinking about if she should run away, Jack said, "I'll do it." "You don't know how the game works, do you?" Sylvia looked at him helplessly. "I know you have money and you don't mind losing it, but I'm a girl, so they show me some mercy. If you join the game, they won't be showing you any mercy at all." "It's okay. I've been watching you guys play, and I think I've learned about the game on the internet just now." "I think I know how it works," Jack said with a deep voice. "It's simple." "Simple? Simple my ass," Sylvia said in her head. It may seem simple, but it can be hard when your opponents are really good at it." Sylvia tried to talk him out of it in an indirect way. "But it's really simple," Jack said. "You only have 136 cards in total. There are just a few ways to play them. You can easily calculate it using math." Hearing his confident tone, Aaron said, "He has no idea what the game's really like. Sylvia, let him play." Sylvia had no choice but to give up her seat to Jack, praying that Jack wouldn't lose too much money. As the game began, Jack picked up the cards clumsily. Seeing that, Richard clicked his tongue, shook his head, and said, "It's all right. If you lose, don't feel ashamed. You're new to this, so we'll all understand. It's just that we're all young people here, so you might want to be humble." "I won't lose," said Jack with a low voice. Aaron and Jeffrey both shook their heads. 5 minutes later, Jack spread his cards and said, "I've won." Richard glanced at his cards and said, "What? You can win with those cards?" "Yeah, earlier I watched you guys play and noticed that you don't like to keep this card," Jack responded. "Jack, you were amazing. I thought you were looking at your phone or having an inner journey just now," said Sylvia excitedly. Jack gave a small smile and said, "Don't you like to win? I can't say for sure that I'll always win, but I can guarantee that I'll never lose." "Boy, don't be arrogant." Aaron gave a cold smile. He heard what Jack said. The boy didn't take him and the others in the game seriously. He considered himself to be a very smart man, but still, he shouldn't dare to say something like that. "Today, I'll teach you how to be humble." Richard paused briefly with confusion and said to him, "Dude, I understand that some others might be able to teach people how to be humble, but does that word really exist in your life?" "No, but other people have to be humble in front of me," said Aaron coldly. After he was finished talking, Aaron gave Jack a glimpse. The latter was carefully looking at his cards. He hurriedly took a deep breath and told himself to calm down. The boy was only a scientist. How could a scientist possibly be better than him, except at science? Sylvia snorted, patted Jack on the back, and said, "I don't need your guarantee. I only want you to win my money back." Jack paused briefly, then wore a bitter smile and said, "But he's your brother. Will he forbid me from marrying you if I displease him?" His voice wasn't loud, but everyone else heard what he said. Sylvia blushed. Richard burst into laughter and said, "Oh, you're thinking about long term, aren't you? Don't worry, our Aaron has always been a generous guy." "You're lying," said Jack. Sylvia glared at Richard, then said to Jack, "Ignore my brother. If I decided to marry you, no one will be able to stop me." Hearing that, Jack's eyes glowed. "Good. I have your word now. I'll do what you want." After saying that, he leaned toward Sylvia and said to her, "It's gonna be easy. Your brother's terrible at this game." Sylvia glanced at Aaron's proud face and wondered if he would die of anger hearing what Jack said. Aaron narrowed his eyes. The boy had infuriated him. However, he could not maintain the proud look on his face when he lost to Jack over and over again. He had no idea what the boy was thinking. He won 7 rounds out of 10. And sometimes he won double in one round. For the other 3 rounds, he didn't win because he took someone else's bomb, meaning that he didn't need to pay. Jeffrey and Richard weren't doing any better than Aaron. They had both lost a lot of money. It had only been an hour since the game started, but they had already lost what they won from Sylvia. "Ouch! I've been sitting here too long. I think my arms are sore. Melvin, I'm glad you're here. Come over and take my place." Richard stretched his arms, attempting to stand up. "Your arms are sore." Sylvia smilingly walked over and clenched her fist and said, "Would you like me to give you a few punches? I assure you the soreness will immediately go away." "Sylvia!" Richard wanted to cry. "Richard, you invited us to the game. You can't shrink back after losing money. I didn't run away when I lost. Where's your card player's quality? Jennifer's still sitting here. Is it appropriate for you to act like that in front of her?" Sylvia said. Jennifer patted Richard on the back and said, "Just play the game. I'll give you my money if you lose all yours." "No, how can I let a girl pay for me?" Richard instantly straightened his back. He could not run away, no matter what. Blandly, Jeffrey said, "You can win my money. I don't have a girlfriend anyway. No one's spending my money." Poor boy. Sylvia felt sorry for him. "Jack, don't make him lose too much." "Sure." Sylvia had never spoken so gently to him. He was so excited. It turned out that winning the game could make Sylvia happy. He had to win. At 5:30 in the afternoon, Cries and howls echoed through every corner of the room. Aaron looked very pale at that moment. He had asked April for money 3 times, going to the bathroom as an excuse. April looked at him and said, "You've lost over 100,000 today. I hate to say this, but you're terrible at card playing, yet you insisted on doing it."
"What do you mean that I'm terrible at it?"
Aaron argued with her. April snorted and said, "You've been losing since the first time I saw you play at your family's house when I was helping you pick your cards. Am I right?"
"It was because of bad luck."
Aaron felt humiliated.
"Do you think I want to play the game now? I don't. But if I quit the game, I'd look like a coward. I cannot let that happen. I have already lost my face, so I cannot lose my reputation too."
April sighed. While transferring the money to his account, she complained, saying, "I don't know what you guys are thinking. He's a physicist and an astronomer. When you guys were still trying to solve Olympiad math problems, he was already calculating universe data. You're displaying your minimal skills before an expert. What gave you confidence? Your history of being a good student?" Aaron stayed silent. He recalled telling her that morning that he was good at studying.
"Babe, I'm good to go. Don't worry. I'll try my best to earn my money back."
Once the money arrived in his account, he left as quickly as possible. The game wasn't over until the chef told everybody that dinner was ready. Aaron, Richard, and Jeffrey seemed to be relieved. Jeffrey didn't care about losing money, but he had lost too much today.
"Aaron, don't ever invite me to play cards with this guy again. Thank you,"
said Richard. He was even shambling when leaving. He had lost a lot. Aaron's face was cold as ice. He gave Jack a frosty glance, then walked away. Jack blinked and turned to Sylvia and said,
"I think people don't like me."
"It's okay. I like you." Sylvia really liked him at that moment. How could such a smart person exist in this world? She was so lucky. Jack blushed. He hurriedly pushed the thick stack of money on the table toward her and said,
"I won this money and you can have it."
"No." Sylvia quickly shook her head and said, "You won the money yourself. You should keep it."
"But I won it for you,"
said Jack.
"What can I do with all this money? Maybe I should give it back to the others?"
After saying that, he stood up. Sylvia hurriedly stopped him and said, "Why? They never gave me a refund when they won money from me. Forget it. I'll take the money. Wow, I haven't had so much money since my mom cut my allowance. I'm going shopping." Seeing her happy face, Jack felt sweet in his heart. It was the first time he saw her smile so brightly because of him. He felt as if he finally figured out what he could do for her. "Thank you." After spending a few seconds feeling thrilled, Sylvia raised her head and said to him, "I've never won so much money. I always lose in card games and my brother's always bullied me."
"Why did he bully you?"
Jack didn't understand.
"Aren't you his little sister?"
"Some brothers bully their little sisters for pleasure." Sylvia sighed.
"It's okay. If he ever bullies you again, you can come to me," said Jack with a smile. "I won't let anyone bully you."
If those words came out of someone else's mouth, Sylvia wouldn't believe them. However, when Jack said those words, Sylvia felt touched and safe. He wasn't exaggerating at all. She felt that she finally had someone to rely on. After all, Jack was much smarter than her brother. Facing Jack, her brother had nothing to show off. Before dinner, Jack was still helping Sylvia count the money instead of going to the dining room. The other guests had sat down at the table. They all learned about what happened in the afternoon and felt deep pity for Aaron and the other two. "It's all right," Melissa comforted the 3 of them. "You're all rich. You shouldn't care about losing money."
"Do we care about the money? What we care about is that we were losing for 3.5 hours without winning even once. Do you guys understand how that feels?"
Richard sighed. "No, we don't." Kira smiled gleefully.
"My future grandson-in-law is so smart," Grandma said with a happy smile.
He has completely outsmarted you guys.
Grandma, what are you talking about?
Said Aaron sulkily.
What does that have to do with being smart or not? He's just good at math.
Grandpa ignored him and agreed with Grandma.
You're right. I haven't seen such a smart young man for a long time. I think Sylvia's boyfriend's a great person. They should spend more time together and learn about each other. We should let them develop a relationship freely. I agree, Sylvia's uncle nodded. Sylvia's a short-tempered girl, while Mr. Jack seems quite tender. He listens to everything she says. Jeremy was a good person too, but both of them have strong personalities. Sylvia is the little princess of our family. I hope her future husband will treat her like a little princess too.
That is right. Grandma couldn't agree more. At that time, Sylvia and Jack came into the dining room together, so the topic ended. After dinner, considering that there was a baby in Aaron's house, the guests started leaving. Jeffrey, wait, Kira called after Jeffrey when the latter was leaving.
If you're going to speak for Ella, I'm sorry.
Jeffrey turned and looked at her coldly. If I wanted to talk to you for her, I'd have visited you long ago, Kira replied. Ella is full of lies now. I don't believe what she says either. Earlier, I arranged for her to study at a technical school, but she ran away. I wanted to ask if she went to you.
Do you think she still has the guts to come to me? Jeffrey gave a cold smile. I'm telling you, that sister of yours will only grow worse and worse. One day she might do something irredeemable.
Hearing that, Kira felt helpless. Have you really broken up with Winnie? You should think very carefully about that if you can't get over her. I feel that Ella's done something that we don't know about yet. Last time, you threw her into the water and then she got a bad fever. The fever lasted a few days and she nearly lost consciousness. Back then, I heard her saying something like, I don't want to lie to you.
Did she say that about me?
Jeffrey's pupils constricted. I'm not sure, but she woke up later. She seems to hate me now, so there's no chance that she'll talk to me. She has always kept secrets from me. I almost forgot about that, but today, I recalled it when I saw you. Kira gave a bitter smile. Jeffrey pressed his lips together. A lot was going on in his mind. Was he the one whom Ella didn't want to lie to? Was it someone else? Was it about what happened that night? I gotta go. As he stayed silent, Kira left in her car. With all kinds of thoughts, Jeffrey walked slowly outside. What did Ella lie about? Was it about that night? Did he really sleep with her that night? He had such doubts since long ago. However, no evidence from that night could be found. What would be different even if he found out that he didn't sleep with Ella but with another woman that night? It would be meaningless if he didn't like the girl. Finding out the truth would only make him unhappier. But if he didn't sleep with Ella that night, why did he wake up in the morning to see her lying by his side? Did Ella sneak into his room afterward? The more he thought, the more he hated Ella. He felt that he might have been too nice last time. After the guests left, April came out of the shower and found Aaron sitting unhappily on the bed. Thinking that her husband had lost a lot that day, she sighed and walked up to comfort him. Don't be unhappy. Apple turned 100 days old today. This should be a happy day.
But this is the worst day of my life,
Aaron started complaining.
I've always been the one to win. But today?
April felt that her husband was really upset. She hurriedly hugged him and said, In my heart, you are the best. It's not important if you're good at playing cards or not. What's important is that you are handsome and capable, and you are a commercial genius. Aaron was instantly cheered up by the encouragement from his wife. He held her tightly and smiled.
I'm not only a commercial genius, but also a genius in bed.
April hurriedly attempted to push him away, as she worried that he might press her straight down to the bed. However, she failed to make him move even an inch. Dear, let's talk about something serious, she said.
Haven't we been doing that this whole time? Aaron raised his eyebrows.
What kind of serious talk is this? April replied. I'm preparing to go back to work. I trust our nanny with Apple. Aaron was stunned at first, then he fell into sullenness.
But Apple needs breastfeeding and he's so young. How can you not feed him breast milk? The World Health Organization said breastfeeding should last until the baby turns 2.
You stole Apple's milk every day, said April. Would you agree to let me breastfeed him until he's 2?
I agree,
Aaron said. He was already used to seeing April every day after work and her being with him and his son. If she started to work again, she would be spending a lot of time traveling and sometimes she would work until midnight. Aaron, have you forgotten what you promised me before? You said you'd let me go back to work once I had the baby. It's not like we have no one else at home to look after him, April replied. I know that Apple's still a baby, so for now I will only accept job offers from here, Rosewood City, even if I need to go to another city for work. I won't stay there for the night. Jennifer talked to me today. I really want to do the voice acting for Director Woods' new film. He is strict with his work, so I need to practice. I haven't been doing voice acting for half a year. I need to get my skills back.
Are you sure you won't take the job offers from other cities? Aaron asked.
April nodded, held his waist, and said, Aaron, I'm young, and I have a dream. Didn't you say that you wanted your wife to have her own career? Aaron knitted his brows slightly, then gave a bitter smile and said,
April, I've always supported you, but you're not allowed to neglect me when you start working again. You still need to spend time with me.
I will. I will be keeping you and Apple company. As he agreed to let her work, April nodded delightfully.
Especially me. Apple is secondary, said Aaron bossily.
Childish. April pinched his cheek, then kissed him on the lips. After that, she sighed. I even envied Professor Jack a little today. Before you and I got married, your entire family except your mom and Sylvia were against us. Unlike me, he was accepted by nearly the whole family, including your grandpa.
Don't worry, I haven't accepted him, said Aaron, holding her face.
Whether you accept him or not is not important at all, April thought.
Don't overthink, Aaron said, rubbing her hair. He's a scientist. Normally people who have little experience tend to have a stereotyped impression of scientists. They always feel that scientists are mysterious and sacred.
What about you? April asked.
Me? Aaron thought for a moment and replied, I don't care what he does. He's a scientist. So what? If he's not a good person, I'll still say no. What's important is if he can be nice to Sylvia. I think he's better than before. He wouldn't even look at me or talk to me before. That was annoying.
As he finished, he found April looking at him smilingly. He blushed slightly, clenched his fist, and gave a cough.
She's my little sister after all.
Huh, April nodded. She is your little sister, but she can barely feel any warmth from you, her big brother. I hope she can find a man who will treat her like a princess.
Stop. Time to sleep. Aaron held her and laid down.
Isn't it too early to sleep now? Said April. It's barely 8 o'clock.
Silly. Aaron pinched her nose and said, I'm not saying that we're really going to sleep.
April didn't know what to say. The Audi drove into town. Once again, Jack, as a man, felt it was inappropriate to always make the girl drive him home. Besides, Sylvia had been busy all day. She was already tired, and she needed to drive him home. He didn't want that.
Sylvia, how about you don't drive me home? Jack hesitated briefly, then said, Just go straight home. I'll clean your apartment, then ask Mr. Maxwell to send a car to pick me up.
He persistently wanted to clean her apartment. Sylvia found that both funny and annoying. Your hands are injured. How are you going to clean my apartment?
But I don't want you to drive. You must be tired, Jack replied with guilt.
Sylvia was warmed by his words. I'm not tired. When I worked at a local police station, I always drove all over the city. I've gotten used to it. I'm not used to seeing you tired, Jack said honestly. You're my queen. You have to feel comfortable when you're with me. Sylvia paused briefly when she heard him say that. She remembered when she first became a policewoman. She got up so early and went home so late. She was exhausted every single day. Except for her family, no one even worried about her. Her family always wanted her to get married, so that she would have a nice man to look after her. She didn't understand that before, but now she started to get it. Even a super strong woman would want someone to rely on someday. Would Jack be that person for her? She remembered hearing people say that he was working on a mysterious project. David didn't want her to be with Jack because he didn't want his daughter to get involved with something like that. Jack, what is the project that you're working on? She asked him. I heard that you've been working on a mysterious project. Is that true? No, I'm not. Jack's expression changed. Sylvia didn't say anything else but looked straight ahead. After a long while, Jack stuttered, saying, Sylvia, it's not that I don't want to tell you. Some projects are secret, especially now. Now is an era of high-tech development. The competition in the science world is very strong. I'm not on that project anymore. I'm only doing some small projects that will help people with their lives. I get it. I'm not mad at you. I'm a policewoman, so I can understand, said Sylvia. You're doing the right thing not telling me. I understand. She stopped the car at a red light and continued saying, because we are the same, our jobs require us to contribute to our country. She looked him in the eyes. Her black eyes glowed in the darkness like the eyes of a cat. Jack was nearly lost in those eyes. A short while later, he smiled shyly and said, So we're such a good match. Sylvia felt a little speechless. How could that serious topic end there? However, he seemed to be right. They were a good match indeed. In the future, their children will feel honored to hear about their glorious stories. No, I'm thinking a bit too far, Sylvia told herself. The light turned green, so Sylvia hurriedly started driving. After arriving at Jack's place, Sylvia said to him, I was going to take you to the hospital to change the fresh dressing on your wounds, but we didn't have time for that. Don't forget to let Mr. Maxwell take you to the hospital tomorrow. I have to work tomorrow, so I can't go with you. Okay, Jack nodded. Felt nice to have someone worrying about him. He unfastened the seatbelt and opened the car door. He abruptly turned back, looked at Sylvia sheepishly, and said, Sylvia? Looking at his black, shining eyes, Sylvia's heart skipped a beat. What's wrong? Jack scratched the back of his head and said with a slight disappointment, Are you going to let me go? Just like that? Sylvia blinked her eyes, thought hard, and then raised an arm and said, Oh, I forgot to say good night. Good night. Rest early. Disappointedly, Jack kept scratching his scalp and said, I was talking about a good night kiss. Can I have one? After saying that, he glanced at her and then quickly dropped his head. He felt so shy. Sylvia felt a little awkward. Wasn't that something boys should be doing? Did he want her to kiss him again? She couldn't do that. This is only our first day, right? Sylvia mumbled. Oh, Jack was disappointed. How many days do we need to be together before we can give each other good night kisses? How am I supposed to know? I'm not a relationship expert. Sylvia grew a little impatient. All right, I thought you were more experienced than I was. Jack gave up. He got out of the car and said to her, Let me know when you get home. Okay. After Sylvia left, Jack went upstairs with sweetness in his heart. Mr. Maxwell noticed him chuckling even when he was changing his shoes. You were out the whole day. Did something happen? Mr. Maxwell couldn't help but ask. Jack nodded and wrote, She kissed me. She said she'll be responsible for me. I've also met all her relatives. They like me." Mr. Maxwell was stunned. So soon? You've met her family already?" Jack smiled happily. "They all support me." Mr. Maxwell didn't know what to say. He knew that some people could fall into a relationship very fast, but he never heard of anyone actually doing it. "Then," he asked, "did her parents say anything else?" Jack tilted his head, thought for a moment, then wrote, "I don't remember, but her grandma said that we can arrange for our parents to meet each other." Mr. Maxwell wiped the sweat on his forehead and said, "Are you two getting married already?" Jack paused briefly to think. He hadn't prepared her a sweet home yet. Since Sylvia lived in Rosewood City, the home should certainly be located there too. The apartment that he now lived in was a little too humble. He needed to buy a bigger apartment. "You don't need to be in such a rush," Mr. Maxwell hurriedly said to him. "You've just gotten together. Allow yourself some time. A kiss means nothing, so you should at least wait until you sleep together." Sleep together?" Jack blushed a scarlet color. "Don't tell me you've never thought about that." Mr. Maxwell patted him on the shoulder. "You need to start thinking about that." "No." Jack quickly shook his head. "You need to get married first and then do that. I can't sleep with her before we get married. That'll be bad for her." "We are not ancient people," said Mr. Maxwell. "Since you two have become boyfriend and girlfriend, you should buy Miss Bennet some gifts when you have time. Send her something tomorrow. Flowers. It has to be flowers." Oh, the flowers for Sylvia could not just be ordinary. Before bed, Sylvia received Jack's message. "Are we really together? Am I dreaming? What should I do? I'm too happy to sleep. I miss you." After receiving countless messages from him, the sweetness in Sylvia's heart faded and her patience ran out. She called him. "Sylvia, do you miss me?" Jack's happy voice was heard from the other side of the phone. "Do you know what time it is?" Sylvia said, reminding him. 2:20. I didn't know it was so late." "Now you know, so it's time to sleep." Sylvia almost wanted to cry. "I need to work tomorrow morning." "I'm sorry. I thought you were already asleep. I meant for you to read my messages in the morning," said Jack in a weak voice. "I'm a police officer. An emergency might happen at any time, so I normally don't turn off my phone. As for a message, usually no one would message me in the middle of the night." Sylvia felt slightly sad to mention that. Most of the people her age had someone to worry about them at night. "What a coincidence. No one messages me at night either," Jack said. "You didn't even have a phone before." Sylvia found it funny. "No one would even message me if I had a phone. I'm going to let you sleep. Good night." After saying that, Jack fell into silence. The call hadn't ended yet. "Why don't you hang up?" Sylvia asked. "I don't think hanging up on girls is polite. You hang up first." Sylvia smiled and then ended the call. After that, she found that she couldn't sleep. After all, it was her second relationship. A lot of thoughts were going on in her mind. She had no regrets, though. She couldn't stay single forever. In the morning, not long after she woke up, she received another message from Jack. "Have you had breakfast yet? I'll bring you some." Sylvia told him not to do that. It wasn't necessary for him, an injured person, to deliver breakfast to her. After she arrived at the police station, Peter's parents came over to thank her and Carlo. "Officer Bennett, Officer Carlo, the real murderer who took our son's life might have gotten away if it wasn't for you two. Thank you. Thank you so much. We don't have much to give, so it's only a small gift from us." "Sir, madam, please." Sylvia hurriedly offered them seats. The gray-haired couple made her sigh. "We did what we should have done. We cannot accept your gift. If we did, we'd be failing our job. You two should head home." "We've lost our only son. What's the point of our life now?" Peter's parents spent quite a while expressing their gratitude towards Sylvia and her colleagues. then left in sadness. Looking at them leave, Sylvia felt a little sad too. Why are there bad people in this world? I used to feel that being a police officer was exhausting and dangerous, but now I seem to have found the meaning of it. Investigating, finding evidence, it doesn't matter what you do. Every step is critical for solving a case. The captain patted her on the shoulder and said,
"It's good that you're thinking this way. You and Carlo worked well together this time. As this is your first case, I can say that you solved it rather speedily. You exerted yourself with no rest. Come to my office later for your new case."
"We have a new case?" Sylvia curved her lips downward. There was a new case, meaning that something bad had happened.
"I too hope the world can be peaceful without any harm done," Captain sighed.
At 4 p.m., when Sylvia and Carlo were discussing the new case, Mr. Maxwell surprisingly showed up. Sylvia wasn't expecting to see Mr. Maxwell. She thought Jack was with him, but as she looked behind Mr. Maxwell, she saw no one. Instead, she noticed Mr. Maxwell holding a potted plant. The plant wasn't big, but was full of blossoms. White, green, red, yellow, purple, and all kinds of colors.
"Wow, so pretty. Are these daisies?"
Carlo was the first to be attracted by the flowers.
"Yes,"
Mr. Maxwell nodded. Sylvia spent a few seconds looking at the flowers, then asked, "How can daisies have so many colors? And so many colors on one plant?"
"Yeah," Carlo said. "I've never seen such colorful daisies."
Mr. Maxwell smiled and replied,
"This is a new kind of daisy. Mr. Jack's mother spent 5 years cultivating it. You can't find them on the market."
"Oh," his words reminded Carlo.
"I almost forgot that Jack's mother's a biologist. I still remember the watermelon that we had last time." "You can have some watermelons next summer when Mr. Jack gives them to Miss Bennet," said Mr. Maxwell politely. "Thank you very much."
Carlo wanted to cry. He once protected Jack, yet he could only have some of Sylvia's watermelons.
"Miss Bennet, Mr. Jack asked me to bring the flowers to you."
Mr. Maxwell handed the daisies to Sylvia and said,
"His butler delivered this overnight."
Sylvia felt flattered. She carefully took over the daisies and murmured, "Isn't this a little too precious? Has Jack's mother cultivated a lot of these? Will she be unhappy if these were given to me since these kind of daisies are rare?" An awkward look flashed across Mr. Maxwell's eyes, but still he said,
"No, don't worry. Just take it, cherish it, and don't let it die. I heard that a floriculture lover once offered $3 million for this type of daisy, but Mr. Jack's mother refused to sell it." $3 million?
Carlo looked at Sylvia with jealousy.
"Sylvia, Professor Jack is so generous."
Holding the potted plant, Sylvia's hands were shaking. She felt so touched, but also wanted to cry. "But, Mr. Maxwell," she said, "I don't know how to look after plants. This plant is so precious. I'm worried that I might fail to take good care of it. Can't you tell Mr. Jack to just give me some normal plants? The kind that cost only a few dollars?"
"Mr. Jack said that he has to give you special flowers," Mr. Maxwell said helplessly. "I can't change his mind. Actually, it's easy to take care of. All you need is light, water, fertilizer, and to keep it from diseases and injurious insects."
That sounded complicated.
"If you really don't know how to do it, ask Mr. Jack to look after it. He'll do whatever you say anyway," Mr. Maxwell said at last. "I have delivered the flowers, so I am now leaving. Call Mr. Jack if there are any questions."
After Mr. Maxwell left, people who shared the office with Sylvia came over to take pictures of the potted flower. They called it a miracle. Half an hour later, the director came over, looked at the plant, and clicked his tongue with surprise. As his subordinate, Sylvia felt under pressure. After the director left, Sylvia finally had a chance to call Jack. "Why did you send me such a precious plant?"
"Do you like it?"
Jack sounded happy.
"Flowers for you can't be ordinary."
Sylvia was touched. It was the first time someone put so much thought into her. "It's pretty," she said. But if your mother knew you gave me the daisies that she cultivated, would she want to kill you? No, Jack didn't seem to care. She has a lily of the valley plant with the blossoms of 7 or 8 colors. It's pretty too, but sadly it's planted in the earth. Otherwise, I'd have given you that. Sylvia sighed with relief. Thankfully, the lily of the valley was growing on the earth. She wouldn't have known how to take care of it if Jack gave it to her. I get what you're trying to say to me. Don't send me any more of your mother's flowers. Let your mother keep them, Sylvia hurriedly said to him. It's already hard for me to take care of myself and a dog. It's going to be too tricky for me to look after precious plants. I never tried growing flowers. Even a cactus could die in my apartment. Really? How could any woman in the world not know how to grow a cactus? It's okay. I'll go to your place from time to time to look after the flowers for you, said Jack. I'm going to clean your apartment anyway. You don't need to do anything but feel its beauty. Sylvia didn't know what to say. She suddenly doubted if she ever had a life before. Had she ever appreciated pretty flowers? She didn't think so. However, from this day on, she would be carefully appreciating the $3 million daisies. Oh, Sylvia, I'm going to sign up for a driver's license test today, said Jack happily. I'll invite you to go for a drive for me when I get my license. All right, Sylvia tried to encourage him. But wait until your hands recover. Also, don't give yourself too much pressure to drive. Sure. Are you busy today? Jack asked. A bit. We have a new case today, Sylvia replied. Did it happen at my university? No, it happened in the countryside near here. Why isn't it near my university? Jack was disappointed. You want bad things to always happen near your university? Whenever we police officers go, we won't be going for good things, Sylvia said. All right. Oh, there's a large-scale science fair in Rosewood City the day after tomorrow. Would you like to go with me? On a date? Jack asked with a low, shy voice. I don't have time during the day. How about we go in the evening? Sylvia replied. Oh, the place closes in the evening, said Jack with disappointment. Then we can go for a movie together, said Sylvia. You can book the tickets now. Remember, I want to watch the most popular and exciting movie. After ending the call, Jack spent a short while thinking, then turned and asked Mr. Maxwell, What's the most exciting movie? Sylvia wants to watch that. Mr. Maxwell stopped, then gave him a mysterious smile and said, I didn't know Miss Bennet is interested in excitement. All right, you let me worry about that. On hearing what Mr. Maxwell said, Jack felt relieved. At night, Jack got a call from his mother, Rosaria. I heard that you let someone take away my little daisy last night. Where did you take it? Send it back to me now. I gave it to someone, said Jack with a deep voice. What? Rosaria's voice almost blew up the phone. At that moment, she felt as if her blood had gone straight into her brain. You gave my treasure to someone. Do you know how many years I spent cultivating it? I've only managed to grow that single one so far. Are you trying to kill me? Who did you give it to? Bring it back now. No. Jack shook his head without thinking. I gave it to my girlfriend. She loves it. Rosaria was so angry that she almost smashed her phone. I can't believe you gave away my treasure fund on some woman. You are a black sheep in our family. Why do you need a girlfriend? You should stay single forever. Stingy, Jack mumbled. I'm not giving it back to you anyway. You little bastard! Wait! Before she could finish, Jack ended the call, then went back into his lab. Mr. Jack, maybe you shouldn't take your mother's treasures again. She really loves those daisies, said Mr. Maxwell to Jack with a bitter face. I will get Sylvia anything she likes. Jack shook his head. Mr. Maxwell wiped the sweat off his forehead. Thankfully, Jack was only a scientist. If he was a king, he might give away his kingdom. On Friday, before Sylvia got off work, Sylvia's colleague suddenly pulled on her shoulder and said to her, Look at that handsome man. Oh my, he's so handsome. You're a married woman. Is it all right for you to be so excited when seeing a pretty guy? Sylvia raised her head. She was surprised to see the boy who was standing before the police station looking around. Lately, the air temperature had reached 20. Jack was wearing a pair of jeans, a denim jacket, and a white t-shirt underneath. He looked as clean as a college student. He was handsome indeed. Sylvia nodded in agreement and said, "I'm going to hit on him." Her colleague stopped short, then said to her, "No! You already have Professor Jack. Leave that pretty boy alone." "I cannot resist the temptation from that pretty boy. Watch me. I'll be holding his hand in 5 minutes." With a smile, Sylvia walked away. On the outside, Anna went up to Jack and said, "Professor Jack, do you remember me? I've been in your lab." Jack turned his eyes to her. He didn't know who she was at his side. "Miss, do you know where Sylvia is? I'm here. I'm her boyfriend." He blushed when he said the last words. After all, it was the first time he said that to one of Sylvia's colleagues. He was so nervous. "Are you and Sylvia together?" Anna was so disappointed. She remembered Jack sent Sylvia flowers, but didn't know that they were already together. "Yeah, he's my boyfriend." Sylvia showed up behind Jack with a smile and said, "Are we a good match?" "Yes, you two make a lovely couple." Anna had no other choice but to walk away. Professor Jack was so handsome. Why wasn't Jack her boyfriend? Sylvia glanced at Anna's back, then gave Jack a meaningful smile and said, "I didn't know you were so popular. Did you have any suitors before?" "I don't know," said Jack with confusion. "What do you mean you don't know? Don't you know if any girl has pursued you?" Sylvia folded her arms. "I really don't know. I only know that some girls used to talk to me about science," Jack answered honestly. Sylvia understood how absent-minded he could be sometimes. He rarely listened to other people. Indeed, he might not be aware that some girls were probably trying pretty hard to pursue him. It provided her, his girlfriend, a sense of security. "Give me your hand," Sylvia said to him smilingly. Jack did what she said. She suddenly held his hand and stroked the back of it with her thumb. "Sylvia, you..." Jack's cheeks reddened. "What? You're mine now. Am I not allowed to hold your hand?" Sylvia said. Jack lowered his head and said in a low voice, You are allowed to touch any part of my body." After saying that, he walked closer to her and looked at her in the eyes. His eyes were sparkling. "Here, let me introduce you to one of my colleagues." Sylvia held his hand and walked toward Lenny, who at the moment was dumbfounded. Lenny hurriedly pulled Sylvia to the side and whispered to her, "Sylvia, don't do this! How can you do this to Professor Jack?" The serious look on Lenny's face made Sylvia laugh. "Can you please wait until I've introduced him to you? This is Jack, Professor Jack, my boyfriend." With surprise, Lenny turned around, looked at Jack from head to toe, then drew Sylvia to one side and said, "How can Professor Jack be so young and pretty? I heard from Carlo that he's handsome, but I thought he was an old-school scientist." Hearing someone complimenting her boyfriend, Sylvia was proud. "He does look young," she said. Lenny was almost full of jealousy. "Sylvia, Professor Jack is so handsome. You should have been with him for a long time. If I were you, I would have jumped on him and kissed him when he told me that he liked me." "How could you do that to your husband?" Sylvia laughed. "Forget my husband. I'm tempted by Professor Jack's good looks." Lenny smilingly reached out her hand toward Jack and said to him, "Professor Jack, nice to meet you." She seemed to be Sylvia's close friend, so Jack politely reached out to shake her hand. However, before he touched Lenny's hand, Sylvia pulled his arm away. "You are not allowed to touch any woman's hand but mine. Even for shaking hands, you need to consider thoroughly before doing it," said Sylvia bossily. "You are so possessive, Sylvia," Jack murmured. "You're right. I am very possessive." Sylvia raised her brows. "Sylvia, I'll do whatever you say." Jack found the possessive Sylvia so charming. Lenny rolled her eyes and said through clenched teeth, "I'm your friend. I'm only going to shake his hand. Is this really necessary?" "Yes," Sylvia chuckled. "Not even my friend can take advantage of my boyfriend." "Clearly your boyfriend's more important to you than your friend," Lenny snorted, then left to work. "Just sit here for a while. I'm going to deliver something to the identification department. After that, we can leave, Sylvia said to Jack, then left. Jack sat quietly in Sylvia's chair. No important files were on her desk, only some snacks and teacups. He spent 5 minutes staring at the desk, then heard something at the door. He thought it was Sylvia coming back, but as he turned to the door, he saw Jeremy carrying a stack of files. His rival in love was there.